All right, how we feeling? How was that? Hard? Fun one? Kind of the exact opposite of what yesterday was?
Oh, yeah. My calves are so sore.
Yeah, the back of my knee is really sore from that. That's usually what gets me in step-ups, is that like right here. Yeah. Oh yeah. So this is actually a topic that I've been asked to do a couple of times, but I'm always reluctant to do it because, well, one, I think so many people want to rely on supplements ahead of just like fixing the actual problem, which is their terrible diet. You cannot supplement your way to health. It's just not a thing. So I'm going to talk about a variety of different supplements. I'm going to try to do like a series of these, but I want to start with probably the most basic one that I think has probably the most profound impact. And it's the one you'll see in the level 1 lecture if you ever take your level 1 for CrossFit. But part 1 of this series would be fish oil. But step 1, before any supplementation, you should always pay attention to first what you are eating. Again, like I said a minute ago, there is no way to supplement yourself to health. If you don't have nutrients in your diet, you cannot fix it with supplements. So what do I mean when I say your diet? That's whole unprocessed foods, balanced macronutrients with that like 30% protein, 30% fat, 40% carbohydrate, and that carbohydrate is low glycemic. So that's how we should make the bulk of our diet to begin with. So if you are worried about supplements first and you aren't paying attention to the stuff you eat in every meal, we need to take a step back and focus there first. Now, second step, we'll be trying one supplement at a time. And again, my argument is that you should start with fish oil first. And that simply becomes as a result of us living in a food environment where we are subjected to much more omega-6 fatty acid than we are omega-3 fatty acid. And for anyone that doesn't know, fatty acids come in 3 varieties. And fatty acids are what are connected to glycerol molecules. When you hear the word triglyceride, it's a glycerol molecule and 3 triglyceride, which are 3 fatty acids. There's some combination of saturated fatty acids, polyunsaturated fatty acids, and monounsaturated fatty acids. The ones we are paying attention to today are polyunsaturated fatty acids. Now, typically when you hear polyunsaturated fat in the real world, you're hearing it as a result of unhealthy fats. These are the omega-6s. These are the things you see in grains, things you see in nuts and seeds, the things you see in grain-fed meat, your vegetarian chickens. Chickens don't eat vegetables, in case anyone ever wonders. If you see vegetarian diet feed to your chicken, immediately know it's bullshit and they're trying to sell you. Chickens eat bugs. They're baby dinosaurs. They eat bugs, all right? So we should never, ever want to buy chickens that have vegetarian diets, even if you're like an ethical thing. Chickens don't, you're actually torturing a chicken. So don't do that. But we want to try to focus on keeping what's called a ratio that is somewhere closer to 2 to 1 of omega-6 to omega-3. We live in an environment these days that's closer to 1 to 20, where we consume 20 times the amount of omega-6 that we do omega-3s. And as a result, we can work on balancing that out with fish oil supplements. Now, there are a variety. This is probably one of the most common supplements you'd see at like a CVS or a Walgreens or any of that. And they don't all come in the same variety. In fact, based on what I give you for a recommendation, which is 3 grams of EPA and DHA, the 2 things you'll see on the label below fish oil, some of you are going to be like, I have to eat 87 of these pills to get that amount? In some shitty brands? Yes, you do. So buy a better one. And the better ones aren't expensive. So if someone's trying to sell you a really expensive fish oil supplement, they're selling you a story. You don't need to spend a lot of money. I think when I was doing it regularly, which is something I've taken a little break from, somewhere around $30 a month, so $1 a day, to find a quality one. If you're interested in that, I can send you the link of what I took in the past. But we live in a food environment that is sort of devoid of these really good omega-3s in our foods. Where do they come from? From wild-caught fish, grass-fed animals, pasture-raised eggs, and algae for vegetarian friends. So if anyone's like, I don't eat those things, algae would be one of the ways that you could get that into your diet. And you might be asking, like, why do I care about omega-3s? Why would I want to have a better ratio there? And the benefits are over here on the right side of the board. First one I think is probably the most important benefit of all is increased insulin sensitivity. We've been talking a lot about how we want to pay attention to what's going on in our forks so we're not messing with our blood sugar. Well, one of the ways to improve your sensitivity to your tissues to insulin is with fish oil. Actually, it helps to make the cell membrane a little bit more fluid, which means things can pass back and forth, which is something we want to happen when we're trying to draw sugar out of our bloodstream and drive it into our cells. It also helps with our cardiovascular function. It's It's an anticoagulant, so it actually helps make our blood a little bit thinner. So if you're someone that struggles with hypertension, it's going to allow you to have a lower blood pressure reading if you have a really high one. It increases your immune function. It improves your neurological functioning. Your brain wants to have omega-3s. That's why one of the number one things you're going to see on a label for any fish oil supplement is brain health. Well, one of the things that's going to help you do is improve your neurological function. It's going to help those cells work the way they're supposed to. It's going to help you improve your mood. And then what I think is really cool, especially as you start to get a little older, helps with memory. So one of the newer treatments for Alzheimer's and Parkinson's and ALS patients and the people who have any sort of neurological impairment is reducing their carbohydrate intake and increasing their fish oil content, typically in the omega-3 category. But the idea here is that through supplementing this way, we start to improve the way our body is supposed to feel, which is ideally anti-inflammatory. So when we eat the omega-6s, we are making our body inflamed. Our body is just basically like, yeah, we're going to have these calories and they do come in, but as a result of it, we're stiff, we're achy, we don't recover as well. And that's typically an imbalance between your omega-3s and your omega-6s. So by starting here with one single supplement, you can start to see like test, retest. Like I felt this way, I started on this one single supplement, and now I feel this way. If you start with 7 different supplements, you have no idea which one's doing you any good. So again, all I wanted to say here is this is a good place to start. If you have other things going on, or like, that's all good and well, but I have other problems or other things to be concerned with, that's a conversation for you and I to have. But my plan is to do more of these, including some of the things that I take, like vitamin D, and some of the things I take for sleep. But I wanted to start here. Do you guys have any questions for what I talked about?
What's the math on that? You give me a recommended number of the sum of the what the EPU?
Yeah, 3 grams of each. So what you would do, Steve, is you'd turn the bottle around and...
You gave me a number. It was like 2,500 or something like that.
So it's 3,000 milligrams, which is what you're going to see. Most pills are going to be between 300 and 500 milligrams. So it's like somewhere between like 7 and 10 of those.
Yeah, I take like 3 of the big monster ones. I did the math once and I just keep reordering the same stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. And again, you just want to check the label when you order it, because again, this is just a general guideline, and this comes as just like a blanket statement to the room. If you eat a less healthy diet that is higher in the omega-6s, you would want to have more than 3 grams per day, but 3 grams a day is a good place to start. Only consideration for those of you that I don't think fall in this category, but if you ever go to get surgery, stop the fish oil a few weeks early, because it does thin your blood, and your doctor would want to know that before any sort of surgery. So that is the only caution if you are a fish oil user. If you're having surgery, take a break before any major surgeries. Yes, Misty?
So is this on top of what you normally eat in your diet?
Yes, this would be a supplement to what my normal food. Again, the cleaner your diet is, the less of it you need, but we live in an environment where it's like almost nearly impossible to avoid seed oils and vegetable oils, which are 2 of the main culprits for why people are so inflamed. That it's just not reasonable for most people to try to avoid that. So to try to create a better balance, they take the supplement instead. Julie, you have a question?
Some of them are very fishy tasting,
Yes, they are.
and some of them aren't. So you've got to sometimes do a little bit of like trial and error to get one that doesn't taste like you're burping up tuna fish all day.
Yeah, some of them come with flavorings. Like, I mean, I'm not a big fan of flavorings, but some of them have like a lemon flavor or a cinnamon flavor or something just a little bit so it's not, And that's actually a good sign. Well, it's not a good sign. It's a sign that you have a bad supplement if you're burping up fish. All right, so if you start burping up your pill, throw that one in the trash and try something else. Fortunately, they don't all come the same way that, like, all restaurants aren't the same, all cars aren't the same. There's always a little bit different. And they do make them from like the horse pill size that you were describing, Steve, all the way down to like those itty bitty like vitamin D pills. So that is something you can search for too, is pill size if you're someone that struggles with pills. They also make droppers where you can just drink the oil as opposed to taking a pill. Well, cool. Thanks, guys. Next time, I think I'm going to talk about vitamin D. All right? So, thanks for coming in, guys. I'll see you next time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.